Muy bien, pues aquí lo dejamos. Aquí seguimos. Acabamos de hablar con este hombre y de investigar toda su habitación y me parece ya que era el último, creo. Pues si no era el último, tienen que quedar muy pocos. No nos ha dicho nada. Todas las pistas parece que conducen a este hombre y no me parece tan evidente que hasta me causa rechazo. Así que nada, veremos a ver qué nos queda. Porque yo creo que aquí volvemos a estar... Efectivamente, hemos dado una vuelta entera a la sala. Así que nada, vamos a subir, vamos a volver a hablar con este señor. A ver qué nos cuenta ahora. Mira que como vayas subiendo, en plan mirando así para arriba y no te des cuenta de esto, te caes. Joder. Que me sorprende que alguien tenga un boquete aquí. En medio de... Un boquete que conduce a la nada. Bueno, lo dicho. Señor, tengo muchas cosas que contarle.
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
Te parece un tío muy paciente, ¿eh? Tengo un culpable.
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Really, Louis? All right then. Please think carefully before you give me your answer. This is a very, very serious accusation.
Oh, shit. No lo tengo claro.
I'm going to need a bit more time to review my findings about the
No lo
crime.
tengo claro, o sea,
I
tengo
do
que decir a
understand.
alguien.
All the more so as it's crucial not to make any mistakes when it comes to naming the culprit.
Ostras. Ostras. ¿Y a quién digo? Voy a molestarle por última vez. He cogido algo. Vale, real. Me hagas
I've
caso,
come to
puto
speak
viejo.
about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
Este tiene que estar hasta las narices de que le esté
I'm listening,
impidiendo
Louis.
escribir nada. A ver, que me refresque la...
Will you
los
remind
datos.
me of the facts we already know about?
Elizabeth Adams was killed last night, but Piaggi was with Holm and I until late at night. As for Bonaparte and Washington, they left us after midnight, both tired.
A ver, la huella de la escena del crimen y el arma son del señor este del Perú. Pero es que lo del cuchillo y el vestido de mi madre...
I believe I've identified the murderer.
Yo no voy a
Really,
decir a mi
Louis?
madre si me da la opción.
All right then. Please think
Pero
carefully
no
before you
entiendo
give
por
me
qué.
your answer.
No
This
entiendo
is a
nada.
very, very serious accusation.
Ella misma. No.
From what I've found out, I believe that my mother is the culprit. Even
Implacable.
though I find it hard to accept.
Sarah? But why her?
Yo sabes, creía que mi madre iba a mandar a tratar del vestido.
I
Sí.
found a piece of fabric that appears to have belonged to her and proves she was present at the scene of the crime.
Interesting. Anything else?
Habilidad de nivel. Bueno, estoy subiendo de nivel ahí.
Print left on the knife near the body was left by a slender hand, without a doubt the hand of a woman.
And there aren't many female guests. I see. Anything else, Louis?
Sí.
Elizabeth thought that Mother was going to kill her. Difficult to believe in a simple coincidence in light of recent events.
Indeed, it's uncanny. Anything else?
Luego, esto es obvio, ¿no? Pero esto lo sabrá este hombre.
I found out that there was a long history between Elizabeth and my mother. She had been her personal doctor and had tortured her throughout her childhood.
And so she could have tried to silence Elizabeth so the truth wouldn't get out and damage her reputation.
Pero si
It's
tú lo sabías,
possible.
seguro.
Have you anything else?
I think that there is more than enough evidence here.
Indeed,
Mortimer
it's very
es
worrying.
muy
Everything
extraño este
seems
hombre,
to
¿eh?
indicate that your mother is responsible for Elizabeth's murder. Given the distinguished guests and the political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way.
Now that we've examined the question from all sides, maybe you could explain to me why you asked me here, my lord.
Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
Se está escondiendo. Sí.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
¿El ratón? ¿O el gato? Hostia, no lo sé.
I'd like to answer the cat, but unfortunately I'm increasingly worried that she's in fact the mouse.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities and yours in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the canon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How
También
did
estoy
you hear
enterado de
about
todo.
that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me.
Mi madre vendía armas porque había un teniente.
Isn't Bonaparte a bit young to deserve so much attention?
Well, you come straight to the point. I like that. Indeed, if you knew just how much you remind me of him. Trust me, I'll wager that Monsieur Napoleon will soon prove himself. I'm working on it, at least. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said.
Eso sí la encuentro.
There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
La verdad que no tengo ni idea.
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Puedes que descubrir algo, sí. Puede que sí.
Maybe she found something out.
What do you mean?
My mother has a gift for investigating. If she had picked up a lead, nothing would have stopped her.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you
¿No
talk
serás
about
mi
together?
padre?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we like to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
Todo me cuesta cero.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
You're speaking of Grigory Alexandrovich Potemkin?
The very man.
No puedo ser más
The
repelente,
little
pero no.
devil behind the mother of all Russians. Since his death, I know absolutely nothing of what the Tsarina is up to.
Oh, really?
Ah, yes. I didn't mean to shock you. Please forgive me. Let's just say that, in my position, it is often advantageous to know about the habits and customs of world leaders.
I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades. It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the
Soy
Crusades.
toristo.
How Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends. And how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age.
Ya ves, estoy todo listo. ¿Me
Your
respetas, viejo?
mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on. That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that? Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with.
Este tío sabe más de lo que está
I
diciendo.
need to piece it all
En fin.
together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
Madre mía, seguro que es la puerta esa que nunca he podido abrir. Que no tenía cartel ni nada. En el primer piso. Y yo creo que aquí no hay nada más.
The room was just opposite Mortimer's study.
Está justo puesta. ¿Es esta? Hostia, es esta. Madre mía. Chulo esto, ¿no?
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there.
Napoleón tiene una espada, ¿no? Pero bueno, Napoleón no estaba cuando... Oh, salía menos mal. Aquí no hay nada. ¿Un libro?
Dante's Paradise. Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays. What is this disc?
Observar el disco, cogerlo. Seguro que es una máquina, voy a cogerlo. Calamita. Y ahí por esto.
St. Paul on the road to Damascus, by Caravaggio.
Vale, pues sí que se...
Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
¿Por qué se fija tanto en este cuadro? Algo habrá detrás, ¿no? Okay. No sé. ¿Qué es esto?
The door appears to be locked on the other side.
No me va a dejar abrirla, ¿no?
I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor.
Podré usar
See
el
if it
disco.
works.
¡Ah, que es un imán! Madre mía, soy todo un crack.
It's open.
No sé por qué, pero me da la sensación de que... A ver. El otro que no vamos a seguro comunicarnos. Puesta la espada. Me sale ahí a la derecha que tengo que buscar las notas. Lo que voy a decir, que me da a mí la sensación de que no... Este tiene una espada.
St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting, and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Un 11. Un 11 subrayado. Vale, a ver, vamos a coger más cosas antes de seguir investigando cuadros. Tengo el inventario lleno de abro. ¿Qué es el abro? Esto, ¿no?
Devil's Thorn. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Rini. It looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Ahí tengo una esta negativa. Con todo. Libro nuevo.
It's St. John, painted by Guido Rini.
Ah, muy bien, ya está. A ver.
The New Testament.
Examino el libro. La Biblia de Gutenberg. La Biblia famosa.
This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. This volume dates from the first edition of Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. The pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible.
A ver. Vamos a... Buah, todo lo que hay aquí.
I guess I'll just come back later.
Ostras, como que tenga que leer todo eso me puede dar algo.
A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel.
A lo mejor los cuadros tienen algo que ver con lo que tengo que buscar y no tengo ni puta idea.
Chest with the occult symbol representing air.
Buah, dificultad 7, o sea, es que no tengo ni... No tengo llaves. Qué mal. Madre mía, o sea... Vale, tenemos un cuadro ahí que es bastante sospechoso, que tiene un 11 dibujado. Que no sé para qué servirá ese 11, no me acuerdo de ningún código ni de nada que tuviéramos que poner por aquí, ¿no? Nada. Esto ya lo habíamos visto y aquí no hay nada. Y luego está este cuadro que también se fija el tío, pero... Pues este cuadro de aquí me parece mucho más que los demás. Bueno, vamos a leer un poco de la Biblia. Vamos por el primero. ¡Hostias! Tendré que ver... A ver, voy a hacer uno random. ¿O hay aquí alguna opción que me dé...?
A volume of the Gutenberg Bible.
Nada. Uf, me da toda la pereza ponerme a leer eso. Vale, por aquí no se puede salir. ¿Y qué habrá que hacer con el 11 este? Vamos a ver si a lo mejor gastando algo.
St. Paul painted by Guido Reni.
Buena
So we
información.
have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be
claro.
somewhere, and
Pablo
it
y
must
11.
be associated with the figure 11. But what's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe?
Ya, claro, tengo que buscar de Pablo el 11, aquí en la Biblia. ¡Ay, qué tonto soy! Epístolas de Pablo 1. Volver al principio. Epístolas de Pablo 2. Epístolas... Uy. Voy a darle a esto. Pedro. No hay ningún 11 aquí. Volver al principio. Evangelio según San de los Apóstoles. Nada, aquí no hay nada de eso. Hay epístolas de Pablo a los romanos. Capítulo 3, versículo 11. Capítulo 11, versículo 11.
I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait. A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle.
Es el más joven de los
What?
apóstoles.
The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that?
Pues ya ves, otro cuadro, otra mierda. ¿Hay más pistas? Epístolas de Pablo 1. De los romanos ya lo hemos visto, ¿no? 11, sí. Primera epístola a los Corintios. Nada. Segunda epístola a los Corintios. Nada. Epístola a los Galatas. Nada. A los Gálatas. A los Gálatas. Epístola a los Filipenses. Nada. Epístola a los Efesios. Nada. Epístola a los Hebreos. Nada. Epístola de los no sé qué. Tampoco. Pues a lo mejor con esto ya hemos
I guess
terminado.
I'll just come back later.
Los romanos, me alegro de encontrar esta nota de imperativo. Espero su respuesta oculta tras el más joven de los apóstoles. ¿Cuál es el más joven de los apóstoles? No tengo ni idea.
Then they suborned men, which said, "We have heard him speak blasphemous words against Moses and against God."
Bueno, pues voy a buscar un poco sobre los apóstoles porque me da a mí que no sé cuál es.
Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido
A no ser
Vinny.
que esté detrás de un
It
cuadro.
looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Detrás del más joven de los apóstoles. Aquí hay uno. Ahí hay otro. Aquí no sé lo que hay. El más joven es este, ¿no? A lo mejor aquí detrás hay algo. Voy a mirar por última vez, pero...
St. Paul painted by Guido Vinny.
No, no sé que no.
St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently.
No me deja
There's a small
moverlo.
inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to
Así,
his
Pablo
pilgrims
habló a los
from
peregrinos
Rome.
de Roma.
Just above that, someone's
Roma y un
written
11.
down the figure 11 on the painting
Claro.
and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean?
Vale, o sea, nos lo estaba dejando evidente. Roma, 11 y Pablo. Ah, bien. Ahora tenemos la segunda pista, que espera su respuesta oculta tras el más joven de los apóstoles. Así que aquí lo dejamos y veremos si lo consigo descubrir en el siguiente.